Je vous ai parlé déjà à différentes reprises de ce qu'on appelle les droits sexuels. C'est une abomination. Je vous en ai parlé, je vous ai parlé de cette façon qu'on a de vouloir sexualiser absolument tout le monde et essentiellement les enfants. Les droits sexuels sont une nouveauté dont on doit beaucoup de sa révélation à Judith Reisman. Judith Reisman a écrit un livre absolument essentiel qui vient d'être traduit en français et publié par Contre-Culture, qui dit la face Kinsey, la face obscure de la révolution sexuelle. La révélation de ce qu'est vraiment, de ce que fut vraiment la pseudo-science qu'on appelle la sexologie, qui a été inventée, découverte et en tout cas largement répandue par Alfred Kinsley. Cette révélation est due en grande partie à l'extraordinaire travail de Judith Reisman. Judith est avec nous. Bonjour Judith.
Bonjour, bonjour Marianne.
Judith, j'aimerais que vous nous parliez de ce qu'on appelle les droits sexuels, qui est une nouveauté. Je voudrais que vous nous disiez ce que vous en pensez, ce que vous en savez, et en quoi il faut être très attentif à ce qui se passe. Can you speak to us about what's called the sexual rights, please?
The sexual rights. Well, it's a new language. It's new. It's a new term that's just invented lately. Even after the sexual revolution, they didn't talk about sexual rights of any particular people or anything. They just said, you know, we have a good time. Yeah, everybody has
Sexual liberty.
Yeah, liberty. Sex, drugs, rock and roll was the theme. Yeah. So, but the sexual rights movement evolved really out of not just, I wouldn't say abortion. I wouldn't say the abortion first. I would say that it was the homosexual movement. And there was no homosexual and bisexual and transgender and so on. It was just the homosexual movement. So
when did it start, homosexual movement?
Well, the movement, okay, as a lobby is one thing. Harry Hay was the founder of the homosexual movement, and he was he said that after Kinsey, Alfred Kinsley, he read Kinsey. He was a communist at the time, and he was a married man. He had a couple of children, and he read Kinsey, and he said, Kinsey says there are 10% of us, homosexuals. And since Kinsey has proven there were 10% of the
population. As a
scientist, thank you very much, yes. That proves that we will be able to make an appeal to the public for our rights as a group, not for sodomy, not for what we do, which was sodomy, because people knew of homosexuals as what they did, and they thought, not good, okay? They don't like that. So he said, we will then appeal to the public for not what we do, but who we are. We are a specific minority, but the minority is a good size minority, which shows that it's normal. What we're doing is normality, yeah? And so he started the homosexual rights movement, so to speak, for their rights as a minority. And that was...
What kind of rights did they claim?
Well, originally, simply the right to live.
Right, to live openly, as homosexual.
Yeah, but because their position was, we're just like you, we're no different. The only difference is we chose somebody to love. Yeah. Now, the point was we chose somebody to love, which hid the fact that really the average homosexual had, it was 600, 700 partners, people they had sex with. But now somebody who has AIDS had over 1,000 partners, quote. So this isn't exactly having just being like you, it's very different from you. So, but people didn't know that at the time. That comes later, the knowledge of what they were doing. So, and even still today, most people don't know. Because the facts of their behavior, because it's a behavior, the facts of that behavior is kept absolutely hidden as much as possible. So they started, Harry Hay starts the sexual rights movement. He has a small group, a clique, that begins to promote that. And quietly they start to move that into the things you're reading and the things you're writing and so on. So it would be acceptable. And it wasn't until, well, actually it continued till the sexual liberation, which included homosexuality, but it didn't stress homosexuality. It was just the women could have as many partners as they want.
Freedom and happiness.
So then about the 1970s, it started to become more prominent, but it especially hit prominence when they had AIDS. Okay, so 1981, I think, was the first case. Okay, but, and we thought, oh my gosh, now, you know, it shows that this group has AIDS, that's going to end the movement. Well, they just came that much stronger because their position was, we are suffering now. We don't know why we got AIDS. Okay. Now, AIDS, I mean, it was largely a result of their behavior, homosexual behavior, that they had multiple partners that engaged in sodomy, and sodomy is not a proper way to use the body. Yeah.
It's not sexual intercourse.
No, it's not at all sexual intercourse. It is using the
organ, the body.
Wrong in the wrong way, and that tears the body, you know, and opens the body up to diseases and so on. And so this is not the way human beings were designed, and including it wasn't the way animals are designed, but because they would sort of indicate that this was a natural animalism. Well, no animal does that. They know the direction that they can go, you know, to make little animal babies, and so they go that direction because that's the point, make little animal babies. So this is the result. Then was, instead of undermining themselves, they fought like crazy. And they had people in position of power, you know, and they accused anybody who tried to do anything about homosexuality of being homophobe.
It's a new word.
They
was invented this time.
Yeah, I'm thinking that was really that one is new. Homosexuality was created also about 1900 or late 1800s. One of the sexologists coined that. But you know, homosexuality, well, it's like liking yourself. I mean, you know, well, anyway, it's got no meaning. So the next thing was because then we started getting herpes and other kinds of venereal diseases showed up. And so people got a little bit nervous, and that went on for a while. And then we got AIDS, which really made the herpes preceded the AIDS, you know, by about 10 years. So then the next thing we know, this claim worked its way not only into the law, okay, because the laws changed in 2003. We had the Supreme Court ruled that you could have sodomy was allowed,
and before that it was forbidden.
They started allowing it in different states, but the Supreme Court had forbidden sodomy. It was absolutely. But then in 2003 in Lawrence versus Texas, it you know got but that law was based wholly and completely on Dr. Alfred Kinsey. Yeah, the
scientific basis.
Scientific basis. You couldn't change the laws. You cannot change the laws unless you change it based on something that we found scientifically. Yeah,
something really new.
Yeah, American law is based on the Bible, and it was the common law. Okay, common law, Bible, and that was it before Kinsey. And now he steps in and he says, but now we have science that had to replace the Bible, the laws from the Bible and the common law. Science did. Yeah. So going back to the sodomy laws, those were Kennedy, our Supreme Court Justice Kennedy, gave his opinion for the court, and he said that you can't discriminate. These people just want to love.
Love. Matter of love.
Yeah,
yes.
Matter of love.
Speaking about love.
Yeah, love. Well, so and it's based on Kinsey because he completely quoted to the 1955, and it's all in my book, 1955 Model Penal Code, which was completely grounded in Kinsey's claims that 10 to 37%, 37% of our men are homosexual at some point,
more or less.
Yeah, we're freedom, and really we are all bisexual. Yeah, and that he had in his scale. He drew a scale, and this becomes globally what everybody is going. You take a pencil and you just draw like this, and you say, "Well, that's science." No, I'm sorry. It
doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So anyway, our Justice Kennedy, who's supposed to be very smart, this was not, showed his ignorance, quoting the 1955 Model Penal Code and saying, well, it says here, that 10 to 37% of our guys are already engaged in sodomy to some extent. Yeah,
it's a new normal.
So we should be able to make that okay. And then the other quotes that were used were from homosexual historians. Okay. Historians. And those homosexual historians, all surprise, came up with information that was based on who? On Kinsey. Yeah, because they can't start from nowhere.
Tell us a few words about the fraud of Kinsey. Why, if Kinsey was a scientist, why not follow his conclusion and say that homosexuality is normal and acceptable? What's the problem with Kinsey?
Well, first of all, it turned out he lied all the time about himself. In fact, it turns out, even though he was portrayed and the newspapers and the magazines and the films and the books and everything portrayed him as a conservative family man, who drink tea.
Drinking tea and smoking pipe.
Yeah, and his wife knitting. Yeah. He was a homosexual, and he had affairs with many men. And maybe boys. We don't know what he did with the boys, but men for sure. He had affairs with. He had sex with his co-authors, the guys who worked on his team. He picked them. He picked the people who were like him, and would keep his secrets, of course. Yeah, or. They had other bigger secrets, something, so he could control what was said. So he was having sex with his co-authors, except one of them who tried, but he couldn't do it. And so, he apologized. He was so sorry. But he would have sex with other people for Kinsey to film, so that made it okay.
They made films of their having orgies?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
In the attic,
all in his home, in his attic, yeah, or also many other places, I suppose, but the ones they admitted to, in home, in the attic, or in the school. They had soundproofed rooms in the school.
Soundproof room?
Yeah, soundproof. It had to be so soundproof. They had the soundproofing, and then they tore it down and they made it better soundproofing. Yeah. Because they would be screaming and all kind of. They didn't just
They were
You know?
having sadomasochist
Oh yeah,
practice?
I forgot to say that. He was a homosexual. Okay, fine. He was a sadomasochist. Yeah, he liked torture. He did that sort of stuff to himself. He was
And to others, I imagine?
Yeah. But he was a pornography addict. Yeah? He made pornography, you know, because he did with his people, he took the pictures and made pornography. He was a masturbatory addict. Yeah? Let's see what else. And I think, yes, a pedophile. Certainly a pedophile. Now, from that man, we got the sexual revolution for the world. We should all be like him. Are we surprised?
He was the new model.
Yeah.
A new model.
Yeah.
Scientist.
Yeah, the scientist.
And he invented sexual rights.
Yes. Yeah, he really
So what's the
did,
principle of sexual rights?
that really it goes down to the child. That all human beings, yeah, are sexual from birth.
What does it mean, sexual? We're all sexual, male or female.
Yeah, no, that we have sexual leanings, lusts, sexual urges, you know, okay, that sort of thing. That we're all sexual from birth, and as a matter of fact, the head of the Kinsey Institute, I interviewed in a deposition. She said we are sexual in the womb.
In the womb.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Fetuses are
Yeah,
sexual.
right. Yeah. Why? You know, because they had erections. I mean, excuse me. You know. It's insanity. And these are the people now still that are training in the UN for the UN and all over the world. But okay. Yeah. So his promotion was we are so and why? Well, okay. How did he get away with it? Well, he claimed that we were doing all this sexual stuff, okay? Mothers, fathers, children, everybody. But there were no bad consequences. There were no bad consequences.
Every sexual behavior is good.
Yes, yeah. We because when he did his research studies, yeah.
Orgies, let's call it.
Yeah. He said, he wrote about, look, venereal disease was, we measured in the universities 1%, you know, something small. Now it's about 50%, you know, with the women. So, and men, but it doesn't show up with the men so much. So, you know, there were no sexual consequences. There was, if we had, you know, contraception was against the law for single people in the United States. And though contraception was against the law in 1948 for single people, yeah, where were all the babies that we were aborting? That, you know, were there big graves all over the country, big pounds where we would put the children that were being aborted if there were no sexual consequences and there is no contraception? Do you see? So there was a low rate of abortion, compared to today. I'm not saying it didn't exist.
Yes, low rate of abortion.
Yeah, and venereal disease. We had two venereal diseases, syphilis and gonorrhea. Okay, any other venereal diseases were small enough that they, in terms of the population, that they didn't end up being recorded. You know, okay. Now we're up to 100 venereal diseases that they have identified. But in terms
and spreading all over.
Yeah, but in terms of the virulence, we have herpes, and we have chlamydia, and we have certainly AIDS, of course, you know, and HPV, human papillomavirus, and hepatitis B. Okay, all these diseases. Somehow, when he did the research, and
there were only two.
There were two. I don't know. We just didn't recognize, you know, this was going on. So he opened the door, and the mass media just flew. Oh yeah, he had the mass media come. He took the records of anybody who would talk to him. He wouldn't talk to anybody unless they gave him their sexual records. Their
secrets, their personal
secrets, yes. Their secrets. So then he could hold that over anybody that didn't write the way he wanted, or say, he had their secrets. Or
he was blackmailing.
Yes.
Blackmailing his partners, colleagues.
Yeah. So, and see what else.